You are sitting across from a cartel boss who has ordered the deaths of over 200 people. And he is laughing at something you just said. You laugh too. Perfectly timed. Perfectly warm. The kind of laugh that says, I am your man completely. Inside, you are running calculations, exit routes, threat levels, recording device battery life. The glass of whiskey in your hand costs more than your father made in a week. The man across from you controls the movement of 60% of the cocaine entering the United States, and he trusts you completely. That is the most dangerous thing about your situation. Not the cartel, not the CIA, the trust. Because trust in this world doesn't come with a handshake. It comes with a debt. And debts here get collected in ways that don't appear in any CIA training manual. You have 2 names, 2 phones, the 2 lives running simultaneously, like parallel train tracks that cannot ever touch. One mistake, and they collide. You have been doing this for 4 years. You are 31 years old. You feel 60. This is how it started. Before the agency, you are 23. You grew up in Laredo, Texas, right on the border, close enough to Mexico that you grew up bilingual without trying. Your mother was from Monterrey. Your father was a U.S. Customs officer for 22 years. That honest, quiet, disciplined. He taught you 2 things above everything else: how to read people and how to never let people read you. You studied criminal justice at UT San Antonio, not because you were passionate about law, because you were good at patterns. You could walk into a room and in 40 seconds know who was nervous, who was lying, who was in charge, and who was dangerous. A professor noticed, recommended you to a federal recruitment program. 3 interviews, 2 psychological evaluations, 1 polygraph. They never told you exactly who they were until the 4th meeting. By then you already knew. You said yes before they finished the sentence. Training was 18 months. Language immersion, surveillance, counter-surveillance, cover identity construction, how to build a lie so detailed it becomes a memory, how to maintain emotional distance from targets while appearing completely emotionally invested, to how to live inside a false identity so completely that your real self starts to feel like the fiction. The instructor on your last week said something you never forgot. The most dangerous moment in undercover work is not when your cover is blown. It is when you forget which version of yourself is real. You didn't understand what he meant then. You do now. First contact. You are 27. Your cover identity takes 2 years to build before you make a single move. You become Marco Vega. That's born in Culiacan, raised in Tijuana. Small-time drug mover with a clean record, a reputation for reliability, and the right connections to make you visible without making you threatening. The CIA plants your name in 3 different conversations through existing informants. They let the cartel find you rather than you finding them. That's the rule. Never push. Always pull. Let them believe the relationship is their idea. First contact comes through a bar owner in Nuevo Laredo. The friendly conversation. A job offer moving a small package across a checkpoint you know well from your father's stories. You deliver it perfectly. They pay you. You come back. You keep coming back. Each job slightly larger. Each level of trust slightly deeper. For 8 months, you are nobody important. A useful nobody. That's exactly where you need to be. Your handler is a woman named Reyes. You meet her every 3 weeks in a parking garage in San Antonio. 40 minutes. You give her everything. Names, routes, shipment schedules, payment structures. She gives you updated intelligence on threats to your cover and a reminder that the operation is bigger than any single piece of information. Don't rush. Don't reach. Let the river carry you. Going deeper, you are 28. The moment that changes everything comes on a Tuesday in October. A mid-level cartel lieutenant named Fuentes pulls you aside after a delivery and tells you that someone above him has been asking about you. Not in a threatening way, in a considering way. You spend that night in your apartment running every scenario. Either your cover is holding so well that you're being considered for elevation, or someone is suspicious. And this is the beginning of a test. You report it to Reyes. She tells you to stay the course. 4 days later, Fuentes introduces you to a man called El Arquitecto. The architect. He runs logistics for the entire northern corridor. Shipment timing, route planning, checkpoint intelligence, law enforcement schedules. He is precisely the target the CIA has spent 3 years trying to reach. He looks at you for a long time before he speaks. He asks you 3 questions: where you grew up, who your mother was, and what you would do if someone you worked with was stealing from the organization. Your answers are perfect because you rehearsed versions of this conversation 100 times in training. But the way he listens to your answers tells you something training never prepared you for. This man doesn't evaluate words. He evaluates the silence between them. He nods once, tells Fuentes you'll do. You've just been promoted into the inner circle of one of the most powerful cartel logistics networks in North America. You text Reyes a single word from a burner phone in a gas station bathroom. Inside, she responds with one word: careful. The double life. You are 29. Your days develop a rhythm that would be impossible to explain to anyone living a normal life. Mondays you sit in planning meetings where shipment routes get decided, and you memorize everything. Tuesdays you find a window to encode and transmit intelligence to Reyes. Wednesdays through Fridays, you do whatever El Arquitecto needs: meetings, deliveries, negotiations, presents. Weekends are the hardest. No structure. Just you and the identity you're wearing, and the constant low-frequency hum of exposure, risk that never fully goes away. You start to notice things about yourself that concern you. You are better at being Marco than you ever expected. The lies come without effort. The warmth toward men who would kill you without hesitation feels genuine in the moment. You sit at a birthday party for El Arquitecto's youngest daughter, and you feel something close to happiness. And the happiness disgusts you. And you drink more than you should. And Reyes notices during your next meeting and tells you to watch it. You ask her once what happens when the operation ends. She tells you that's not a conversation for a parking garage. You understand. That means she doesn't have an answer you want to hear. There is a woman. Her name is Sophia. She works in administration for one of the cartel's front companies. She knows enough about the organization to be dangerous, and not enough to be valuable. She thinks you are Marco. She is falling in love with Marco. And the worst part, the part that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. staring at a ceiling in a safe house, is that Marco is falling in love with her, too. You report the relationship to Reyes. She tells you to manage it. You ask what that means. She says you already know what it means. You do. You just can't do it. Not yet. The test. You are 30. Every undercover operative eventually faces the moment the operation was building toward. El Arquitecto calls you into a room alone. On the table is a photograph. A man you recognize, not from the cartel, from a CIA briefing photo. El Arquitecto slides the photograph toward you and asks if you know this man. You look at the photo for exactly the right amount of time. Not too fast, not too slow. You say the face looks familiar from a checkpoint crossing 8 months ago. You describe a detail about the man's car that you pull from a memory so specific it could only be real. El Arquitecto watches your eyes the entire time. Then he nods and tells you the man is a problem that needs handling. Tells you that he wants you to handle it personally because personal jobs build personal trust, and he wants to know how much he can trust you. You spend the next 6 hours in a controlled state of absolute calm that you will later recognize as the most sophisticated performance of your life. You contact Reyes through an emergency protocol you've never used before. The asset gets pulled out within 4 hours, relocated, new identity, gone. You tell El Arquitecto the job is done. He never asks for proof. Men at his level don't ask for proof. They read the confidence of the man standing in front of them. Your confidence is perfect. Your hands are steady. Inside, you have crossed a line so far from anything in your training that you can no longer see the other side, the collapse. The operation ends not with a dramatic raid or a climactic confrontation. It ends with a name, your real name. Someone inside the CIA with access to undercover operative files has been selling information. You don't know who. Reyes doesn't tell you who. What she tells you at 2 a.m. in a parking garage in San Antonio, with her hands shaking slightly for the first time in 4 years, is that your name is in a document that is currently moving through cartel intelligence channels. You have between 12 and 36 hours before Marco Vega stops being useful and starts being a problem to eliminate. Extraction is immediate. You leave everything. Your apartment, your truck, Sophia. You leave Sophia with no explanation, no goodbye, no version of the truth she could ever understand. You are in a CIA facility in Virginia within 18 hours. Debriefing takes 11 days. They extract everything you know in sessions that last 8 hours at a time. Names, routes, financial structures, personnel, vulnerabilities. If everything Marco built over 4 years gets dismantled and converted into intelligence files that will fuel operations you will never be told about. When it's over, they give you a new identity, a relocation package, and a handshake from a man in a good suit who tells you your country owes you a debt it can never fully repay. You want to ask him about Sophia. You don't, because asking means admitting that Marco was real enough to love someone. And if Marco was real, then who exactly is sitting in this chair accepting a handshake from a man in a good suit? You are 31 years old. You have a new name in a city you've never been to. You go to a diner on your first morning, and the waitress asks your name, and you open your mouth, and for 1 full second, nothing comes out. Not because you forgot the new name, because you're not sure which name is the lie anymore. The CIA didn't send you into the cartel to destroy it. They sent you to understand it, and the thing you understand better than any intelligence file will ever capture is this. The cartel and the agency are more similar than either would ever admit. Both run on hierarchy. Both run on loyalty that has a ceiling. Both will burn an individual to protect the institution without losing a night of sleep. The difference is one of them gives you a badge. That's a wrap. The story is fiction. But operations like this are running right now in cities you've never heard of. Men with 2 names and 2 lives, making decisions that don't appear in any newspaper. If this one got under your skin, drop a comment. Subscribe to POV Underworld. See you in the next one.